I pretended I was selling something on Craigslist and got two strangers to meet awkwardly. Years ago I made a new email address and got two potential buyers for a PlayStation that I was pretending to sell. I confirmed a date and time with both of them. Decided on the mall near a certain store. I asked what they'd be wearing so I could find them. I gave them each other's description for myself, and then went and hung out. One walked up to the other. You could tell there was an immediate confusion. They started arguing over who had what. You could see them get pissed once they realized what happened and wasted their time. They both stormed off on their phones. Sure enough, I got angry emails from both of them. Lol. I feel kind of bad about it, but it was a funny interaction to witness. Was anyone else hoping that the end of the story would go? They instantly connected and decided to catch a movie together since they'd come all the way down to the mall anyway. That was 5 years ago. They're getting married today and they asked me to officiate. Rom-com gold right there, imho.
I was waiting for. They immediately called me so my phone rang. They heard it and figured out it was me. He ended up having a zucchini.
You must have been bored to do something like that, but it's funny as hell. That sounds like something you would see on a TV prank show. That's hilarious, lol. I used to do IT recruiting and you get a ton of Indian people harassing you for jobs they can't do. Sometimes at the end of the day we would set two of them up on a call telling them they both had interviews. Pretty mean. Very funny.
There's a guy on YouTube who sets up multiple Indian phone guys to talk to each other. I believe he did a vid where he set up 8 guys.
I intentionally ask women well above the legal age limit alcohol to show me their ID. I work as a cashier at a grocery store. Whenever a middle-aged woman, who clearly looks older than 21, purchases alcohol from me, I intentionally ask them to show me their ID. I do this because somewhere deep down I feel that, if I ask them for their ID it creates an impression that they look far younger than they are. I do this every chance I get, regardless of how busy the line is, in hopes of making them feel younger and possibly happier. I remember back when I worked as a cashier my manager said I have to ID everyone. She then informed me old ladies will find it flattering. Old dudes too? They don't like that coconut. Is there someone out there that does the opposite of this? They walk up, the cashier looks them up and down and then goes, "Yup, you're definitely old. No need for ID, ma'am." Possibly even whispers to them it was the wrinkly cheesecake neck that gave it away. By the way, wink. I legally have to do this, pos makes me, for medicines and stuff and I get the biggest smiles. It's great. Also bitter annoyed old people but big smiles. Well, bless your heart.
I hear 63-year-old, white woman with white hair say this in my head when I read this comment.
I once told an elderly woman have a nice day young lady. She went and told the manager and I was written up.
That could be taken sarcastically. She obviously wasn't a young lady.
I cancelled my boss's birthday party at the last minute. I called the restaurant my boss was supposed to have her birthday party at and cancelled it because she let me go without any notice. I was an employee at this company for 10 years and brought in a ton of business for this woman. Never had one smudge or blemish on my record. Cheesecake you, Kathy, I hope your birthday was miserable. You should have called back a few minutes later to set up another reservation with approximately the same amount of people for 15 minutes after. That way, they would be too booked when they got there. If it makes you feel any better, you aren't alone. I set up a Grindr account with a cell number for the boss that wrongfully terminated me.
I used to do this thing called Swagbucks, where you answer surveys for money. When I knew it was going to be one that wanted my info to spam my phone and email, I always used my ex-boss's number and email address. He fired me for being pregnant.
This was a good plan. It might have been too late, but in hindsight calling her guests and telling them it was cancelled rather than the restaurant could have set a much more depressing and lonely scene for her. No one ever comes to my birthday. Maya Kathy? Oh god. This belongs in /r/petty revenge.
I confess that I took petty revenge on my boss.
Good. Zucchini that zucchini.